Hello. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing in the live chat? This is a really important video. I'm not going to lie. And I waited a little while to do this video for a couple of reasons. Partially just to let some time pass from the actual event, but also intuitively, I think I knew that I was going to want all of you to know who it is that has helped me, so that if any of you need assistance, you can reach out to her. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Hi, Greg. I'm good, thanks. All right, so it looks like everything's working well. You guys can hear me okay? And let's get into it, because this is something that I think many of us don't realize is happening without our awareness. And so making contracts is important, especially, I've done quite a few videos this year on sovereignty and knowing how one of the big things about that is knowing when you're in contract with someone, and considering that, the governing bodies are corporations. And there's a whole code of commerce that is basically the law that people operate under for businesses and individuals. It's important to understand that demons use this code as well. Okay, so it's important to understand that demons and negative entities are extremely deceptive, extremely tricky. And it's very easy to get pulled into contract without many of us realizing. And I'm going to take you guys through what I was guided to do, so that if any of you are needing to break a contract, you can kind of use what I did as a kind of guidepost, as a template. Of course, make it your own, and let your own intuition, your own higher self, guide you through what feels right for you. But let's just kind of break it down here, because a contract, according to the uniform, I just took some notes here because I want to make sure that I hit everything. The Uniform Commercial Code, it's the law of commerce that businesses and individuals operate under when they contract, okay? And a contract is made anytime there's an offer and an acceptance. And according to the UCC 2-206.1a, an offer to make a contract shall be construed as inviting acceptance in any manner and by any medium reasonable in the circumstance. Okay, let me read that one more time. An offer to make a contract shall be construed as inviting acceptance in any manner and by any medium reasonable in the circumstances. So what kind of happened, because I'm not going to get into the event, I'm not going to say what event it is. It's not really important, because I truly believe that the person who organized this had no idea what was happening. And I think this person's a really good person. The point is, though, is that what I and other people engaged in was a blatant invitation, a contract to with these very powerful demons. And although the intention was to bring a lot of light and to assist in light worker mission, by going into the space of these demons or negative entities, we were basically contracting. Every single one of us were unknowingly, by I'm sure many people, almost all, I'm sure, did not even realize this. I didn't realize this at the time. I should have known better, I will say that. There was a part of me that knew not to do it, but let's just be honest. My ego wanted to know what this was all about, right? And so I got pulled in, and I'll totally admit that. So basically, because we went into their quote unquote house, we initiated a contract. We actually created the offer and they accepted. So that's how that happened. Now, I'm going to kind of go over what had happened shortly after this event. I, that night, realized through my dream pattern that I had definitely a negative entity attachments, because my dreams were a dead giveaway. This is how I personally knew right away. The dreams that I were having were very gross and disgusting in sexual nature. I was engaging in things I would never engage in this awareness. Okay. And instantly when I woke up, I knew something's wrong. I have attachments. Now, I will say that during the event where I was doing the light worker stuff, I kind of knew something was up. I felt the attachments coming in. I felt the attacks for sure on my heart, and I felt them on my solar plexus as well. So I'm going to take you through what had happened. Now, in my alchemy group, one of the women in the alchemy group, her name is Marianne, and I've left her email in the description below for anyone who'd like to contact her, because she is the one who helped us all who participate in this to remove the negative entity attachments and assist us with understanding that there were demonic contracts that were made. And I'm so proud of you, Marianne. You've really kind of come into your own. One of the things that I do in the alchemy program is to help those of you use your gifts to assist others, whether it's, through donation, through building a business. And she's really kind of had to face a lot of her fears of putting herself out there. And now she's doing a lot of this great work, and it's fantastic. I personally know my strengths and my weaknesses, and one of my strengths is not negative entity removal. It's just not. So she was able to help me in all of this. So I highly recommend her. If any of you need help, reach out to Marianne, please. So I'm going to read, because this is a very detailed process that I was guided to go through in meditation. I need my notes because there are so many details here that I had to write down after I came out of meditation. So just bear with me as I do this, okay? So immediately during the event, I felt the attack come on my abdomen, my heart, and my mind. And so I asked Marianne to do an entity check on me, and it was, no joke, really bad. Basically, I had 3 body attachments. One was on my pineal gland. One was on my 9th chakra, which is at the base of the skull here, which is also known as the golden chalice. This is a very powerful chakra. It's kind of like it's your gateway to source God. It's extremely powerful. And on my heart. Okay, so I had 3 physical attachments at those areas. So my pineal gland, my 9th chakra, and my heart. I also had 10 astral attachments. Okay, so I had, on top of those 3, I had 10, and this is all from this event. And that's why I'm saying it is so important to understand where to stay in your own lane as a light being here to do positive work. There are ways that how do I say this? It is more important to build your own light and help others understand their own power and empower them than actually going into war with these entities, because they are so powerful. And are on a soul level, we could be more powerful, but in this physical body, it is just nothing to mess with. We're at a very, very, very big disadvantage here, and it's important to acknowledge that. Your power comes in different ways. So she said to me that some of the entities, when she did the work to remove them, she said that some of the entities were very stubborn to leave. The last major demon, she said, was a real piece of work and was quite large and powerful. And basically, he left behind a postcard type size calling card on the floor. And when she looked at it, she's like, what is that? Because everything else had disappeared. All the entities had gone. The demon had gone, but that one demon had left behind this calling card. So she looked at it. She didn't touch it. And she told me that I'm the one who has to deal with it, that she can't. And she was absolutely right. The important thing to know is that anytime you make a contract, you have to be the one to break it. Someone else can't break it for you. So basically, she said that although they all left, they fully intended to come back. And this is another important point. When you make a contract, you can't just remove entities and think that that's all it takes to remove them and not have them come back. If you're in contract, you're in contract, and that upholds even after you remove them. So breaking the contract is extremely important. When she told me that I was the one who had to deal with this, calling card, I was like, damn, what am I supposed to do? I've never done anything like this before. I'm not, this is not my strength. This is not what I'm equipped to do. Like I fully will admit where I feel strong and where I don't. And this was something I was a little bit intimidated by. I'll be very honest. I was quite intimidated. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I made my bed. Now I have to sleep in it. Okay. So I went into meditation. And I basically went into meditation to hold counsel with my team to understand how am I supposed to deal with this and how do I break the contract? Okay. So first, I was guided to bring a violet flame into my heart, into my pineal gland, and into my 9th chakra. I was then asked for more to be placed in all weakened areas of my field that were both known and unknown to me. So I declared that. So I asked that may there also be a violet flame placed in any weakened area of my field that is both known and unknown to me. And this is important, okay? Because you have to kind of cover your bases of understanding where there might be loopholes and where they're not. Then I was guided to use golden energy to expand from within me to all around me, okay? And I made my field quite large. So I expanded that golden energy way out. Like I made my field super, super large. I was then also guided to use purple energy and scattered it amongst all of the golden field. Instantly, as soon as I did this, a male lion being showed up in front of me. And he told me that I was to take on the body of my lion being self, okay? Which I know I've had several lifetimes as a lion being. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay. So I started just, really kind of allowing the shape shifting to occur. And as it was, I literally felt my body grow to 14 to 16 feet tall. And I shape shifted into a very powerful feline, female feline. I had a breastplate across my chest and I could feel the protection of this breastplate. My hips were more narrow and my entire body was quite slender, but very muscular and lean. So it was really interesting to observe this. This is the first time I've ever observed this, because I never shape shifted into this before. I was literally just going off of immediate guidance that I was receiving. So this was happening. I was being guided to do this before I slept that night for various reasons, but for this one in particular as well. So then as soon as like I really kind of felt, I could feel the power of this, of my feline self. And I saw myself kind of like stomping the ground around in my field. Like it was almost like I was beating my chest. Like, like it's kind of the equivalent of an ape beating their chest to kind of announce their power or show their power. And I was stomping my feet. Like, it was really interesting to observe. And also kind of really speaking loudly to these entities that were wherever they were, and this demon. I was speaking very loudly, like almost like a roar, to basically anyone who thought they were coming back. Okay, so Marianne had said they plan on coming back. So anyone who was planning on coming back, this is who I was speaking to. And I looked at the calling card on the floor and firmly told the demon that our contracts were broken and we no longer had any business together. And that's really interesting because I didn't know about the whole commerce code. And at the time, like this is strictly going off of what I was being guided to do. And I somehow knew through my higher self that I had to state that we no longer had any business together. The next thing I knew, as I was looking at that card, it broke in half. It just, with my mind, because I knew I was not to touch it. I knew I was not to touch it. Okay, so this is really important. Like I said, when you make a contract, it's through the offer and acceptance. The demon had left the calling card as an offer. I knew instantly it was a trap. I just knew. I just didn't understand how. And then when I kind of was in meditation looking at it, I understood that if I picked it up, just by picking it up, I would have engaged in the offer. I would have accepted it. And so I, with my mind, broke the calling card in half. And then I held my right hand up to it. And I pointed my right hand towards it. And I saw this blue beam of light shoot out from my hand and just lasered in on this calling card. And it disintegrated and dissolved it for me. So I was just guided to do that so that it would just disappear. Then I swept my arm around me 360 degrees, and my force field of golden light, okay, got so big and so powerful. So it's almost like I saw myself kind of sweeping my arm like this, like all around me. And I commanded, now this is important, I commanded that all entities working for or above this demon were forbidden to return to my field. And if they did, they would hit the gold. I created a golden force field, right? And rebound off of it and fall into a moat. Okay, so let me get to the moat in 1 second. So this was important because I knew that I was like, okay, I just broken this contract with this demon, but I know how I knew how they worked. It's so tricky, they're so deceptive, that if I didn't command that contract was broken also with any demons or whatever worked for this below him, or maybe were contracting him to do my work, or to do his work for me, I had to also like go above him. And so anyone who worked above him, below him, all were included. No one was to come back. What I had then done was, okay, so I have this big golden force field, and I knew that if they even tried to come, they would rebound off of it. And I created this moat of blue flame around me. And I did that by manifesting 2 large blue orbs. And they're kind of like cannon, okay? So like 2 large cannon-like orbs. And I threw them outside of my golden force field. And they fell and lit up this whole entire blue flame around me, okay, 360 degrees. And it was above and below, okay? They could have come from above or below, doesn't matter. And so so then I basically I said, if you hit my protection field, you would fall right into the light of truth and you would burn if you tried. So I could still at this point feel that some didn't believe I meant business. And so I created an electricity in the air all around my field as well that would electrocute them into the moat. Okay, so even if they still came in, even if they didn't hit the golden force field, before they even got there, there was an electric field that I created around there that was almost like an electrocution, that would render them kind of like shocked and then fall into the moat. So this is where it gets a little crazy, and I guess it's already crazy. I made this sound and I started beating my chest. Okay. I started beating my chest and stomping the ground so that the energy was shaking across the dimensions to where they were hiding to let them know my power and force. I also roared again, and it was more of an energy from my throat this time than a sound. And basically it was just doing this kind of like almost like a ceremonial dance, but just really exerting my power, not in an egotistical way, but more in like this is who I am. This is the energy you're going to come for if you choose to, and just really kind of standing in my power. Then I called in my team and I gave everyone permission to assist me in the highest called ways that were needed to fend off any potential attacks coming my way. So this was me in my lion body, and I was like, wow, this was intense. I can't tell you that I would have never dreamt this up in my own imagination, just sitting like this literally just started coming through me into my awareness. And I was just kind of following it, going with it, as it was coming in, and it worked. And so, it sounds like a lot, but I really didn't want to take any chances with what I was dealing with. I knew that we were dealing with extremely powerful, demons. And I didn't want to engage with them anymore. I also made it known that I had no intention of returning to their home and that I had no intention of engaging with them further, obviously because that would contract more business, but also because I understood that I completely stepped out of my lane and I was not going to step out of my lane again. So this is important. So it's really important that when you are voiding your contract, okay, when you're nullifying it, all of that, it's important that you say that any contract, both known and unknown to you, okay, and that any contract made willingly or unwillingly is void and null, and you're breaking it. And say that it includes all parties involved in that contract, whether it's with the contract or through the entity that created the contract with you. Okay, so I always say that any of those who work for the entity or above the entity. This is crazy. So Marianne was really great because she can see this stuff. I can't. I think it's part of something that I've set up for myself where I can't see it because I don't want to engage with that. It's like when I was a kid, I couldn't watch scary stuff, and I mean like even the most innocent scary stuff like Scooby-Doo going into the graveyard, okay, or the Smurfs going to Gargamel's like castle. That stuff like literally scared me. And so I think that I just don't want to engage with it. It's just not not part of my contract here on a soul level. There are other people who are much better at it, and Marianne is one of them. So it's interesting because you just never know what's, how you might have made a contract until you actually maybe stumble into one of these experiences. And the reality is, guys, is that there's no school on this. We're all learning by the seat of our pants, and we're learning from one another, sharing our experiences. And that's why I'm sharing this experience with you, so that you guys understand. It's more to empower you. It's more to give you an understanding of how this all works, and to really pick your battles. Really pick your battles. Like that's wisdom of knowing when to step into the fight and when to not. And yeah, I won't be doing that. I won't be doing anything like that again. All right. So all right. Let me just see if there are any questions. I don't know if there were any questions that came up before. If you guys have any questions that you'd like me to answer, just write questions in cap lock and then what your question is. The question itself doesn't need to be in cap locks, just the word question so I can see it. Let me see here. I don't see any questions, I think. Lady Hellion, I wish I could meditate. I can't still my mind and to many outside family that I have to be on guard for. You know, I'll be really honest about that. I know it can be very difficult to still the mind. It's a disciplined practice. You just got to do it over and over, no matter how difficult it may feel. It's a practice. And the more you step into trying and show up for it every day, I promise you, it will be something that starts to become easier for you. Part of our subconscious is to not the body is trained so much to not be still. Our whole society trains us to be constantly looking for instant gratification. So it's so important to break free of some of that programming, which is very difficult. It's not easy. But if you choose to, you're like, you know what, I'm going to choose to show up every day and work on stilling my mind, quieting the mind, coming into stillness. I even find difficulty in doing that right now. There are times where it was super easy for me, like through my late 20s and early 30s, when I was meditating, like sometimes 2 hours a day, it was super easy for me. And it's not as easy now. And I have to really work at it. And sometimes I have really great meditations and sometimes they're not so great. So it just keep at it and focus on the discipline of the practice. Just because you're not good at it right now doesn't mean that you can't get stronger and you won't get better at it. Yeah, exactly. Detox with Tessa. Meditation takes time to get good at doing. Okay, Greg, question. Were these people worshiping the evil? Did you have a gut feeling before? No one was worshiping evil. No one was worshiping evil. This was an event done strictly with the purest of intentions. It's just unfortunately, I feel like there too many people were green, and there was an aspect, I think, of greenness. When I say greenness, I mean, like when someone's green to something, they're new. Despite how incredibly advanced I consider this person to be in many areas, I could tell there was a greenness that came from lack of experience over time, that none of us should have been engaging in this. None of us should. I realize this after the fact, though. This is in hindsight. And so but I just want to state, no one was there. Everyone was there to assist in the highest good. Detox with Tessa question. Will breaking contracts known and unknown cancel the ones we still need for our path? No. Okay. So when you say that, be very specific that you want to break any contracts, both known and unknown. Okay. Have the intention of that it's been made with any entities that do not serve you to your highest good or highest light. Okay. You have to be very specific how you're lining this out. So I knew, like, when I went into meditation, it was specifically for this intent of this specific event. Okay, Leyland, what was one of the most impactful or surprising lessons you learned from this experience? Well, that's a great question. Honestly, my own power. I didn't realize I was capable of some of this stuff. And I think that's one of the things that many of us are starting to learn. And I think that's part of the journey of sovereignty that many of us are facing in our own, not just on the spiritual path, but even in 3D, like the contracts we've made with government, the contracts we've made with corporations, I should say, and how we've given our power away and how we're under contract without even knowing. And so, we think there's the part of me that's still like, I run a program if I don't want to do anything bad, I don't want to do anything wrong. And I get scared if I do something bad, or I'm going to get in trouble because I don't want to be bad. This is just a program that I have from my childhood. And so I could feel that activating, and realizing that when I stepped into my power and I allowed my true authentic self to kind of come through, more of it's like a remembrance process, right? Remembering who you truly are, and you get to pull on all of these like skills and the wisdoms and the power from lifetimes of experiences, whether they're on planet, off planet, whatever they might be. And just kind of allowing some of those to come through really started to help me understand, wow, I actually am way more powerful, and I can do things that I didn't even know were possible. Like I'd never thought about them before. That being said, though, power comes with responsibility, and it shouldn't be used from a place of ego. So understanding that power is reserved for specific times and not to be abused in any way. Okay, detox with Tessa. Do you have any suggestions to keep us from accidentally starting a contract that is negative? Yeah, you've got to be so consciously aware of everything you're saying yes to, even unconsciously. Remember, a contract requires an offer and acceptance. Okay, so for instance, something so trivial as in, if you know that watching a specific TV show is programming your mind to be more in the matrix, right? But you're like, whatever, I just want to, just know that just by you choosing to watch that show, you're in contract with the matrix programming. And you're saying, okay, I accept. Now, that's a very low grade kind of contract, I guess, to talk about. But it's just of knowing that anytime you're in acceptance, and it doesn't have to be a written offer, it can be a verbal offer, it can just be you. Like I said, if I had picked up that calling card, I would have been in contract. So it's about just not engaging with any of it. Like engagement can lead to contract. And so this is why one of the important things about understanding your boundaries, and why they say, like, with a narcissist, if you're an empath and you're in relationship with this narcissist, one of the best ways for you to protect yourself, to have your boundaries, just don't engage. And that's how you starve a narcissist, is by not engaging with their behavior in any way, shape, or form. You ignore them. And that's just another way of not creating another contract. Okay? Greg, question, was there an invocation and protection prayer done prior to the event? I can't remember, to be quite honest. There may have been, but I'll be to be quite honest, I was expecting more protection to be used. I remember thinking that this isn't enough. And I also remember hearing some of the guidance being offered to people on how to handle the situation, that it was bad information. I would have never said that, but that comes from my own experience of knowing that you do not, like, for instance, one of the things that was being said is just send them light and love. And you never send an entity like this light and love, ever, because that is a contract. You are inviting them into your field by sending them light and love. Okay? So do not send light and love to these beings. Just don't send anything at all. That's why you don't engage. Just do not engage. But that is something that you learn with time. I don't fault the person for doing this. I know that they were acting from what they believed was the highest and best place that they were aware of. I truly, truly believe that. And even still, if there even was an invocation or prayer, we engaged. We went on, like, it was like basically when you engage on their home turf, you're instantly in contract. So the invocation and prayer was almost a joke, I want to say. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But that's a great question. I think it's important for people to know that. Do not ever send light and love to a reptilian, to a demon, to whatever, okay? Any kind of darker energy, do not, because you are now inviting them to pull into your energy field. Just don't send anything at all. Just be neutral. Just be neutral. Okay. Dave, can they trick your higher self in sleep? I don't think they can trick your higher self, but it could be more of a wounded aspect of yourself that's engaging during dream time. Remember, in your dream time, it's not just your higher self that's engaging. It could be, but it might be a different aspect of yourself, which could be a wounded aspect. I've engaged with all different aspects of myself in the dream state, as well as other people's, all aspects, their higher self, their wounded self, their inner child, all that kind of stuff. So it's just important to know that it's not that they would trick your higher self. I feel that the contract would be made more in the waking state. Not that it couldn't be made in the dream state, but it's more likely to happen in the waking state, possibly though, just from the deception is very easy. And that's why it's like, you can't be hard on yourself, because we're all trying to figure this out. Okay. Leyland, very good. Yes. Wherever we make a conscious choice, we consent. Yes, but also an unconscious choice. You are also consenting. So very important to understand that. Let's see. Can you be an empath and a narcissist? Yep, you can. You totally can. I know many of them. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So good stuff. Anita Rose, wow, there are a lot of very influential people in this community who tell us to send lower 4D entities and demons love. Yep, I know. And this is why it's so important, because I'm sure most of those people aren't even aware of what they're actually, telling you guys. Like, they probably don't have they probably feel that's what you're supposed to do. And this is why it's so important to listen to your own higher self. And that's why, like, I gave a template of what I did for you guys to learn from, extrapolate what feels right. Don't take whatever doesn't, because we're all learning. And there may be something that I learned down the road that I'm like, ooh, I should not do that anymore, and that's just me being very honest about the fact that I don't have all the answers. None of us have all the answers. And so we're all trying to figure this out together. But at the end of the day, your higher self should always be the lodestone to your compass on how to move forward. Okay. So very important to listen to that. Okay, Zencato, what about the Iseti prayer to send them to their most perfect place? I mean, sure, because that's I think that's fine, because you're not defining what that space needs to be, that just whatever it is for them that's perfect, send them. Just as long as they don't, just at the end of the day, just make sure that they're not engaging with you. Just let them know, like, your boundaries are set. You can't have control over what happens to them after that. And that's part of the process of letting go and understanding that everyone has their own unique soul journey and everyone has to deal with things on their own. Because part of this is coming into your own power, learning your own sovereignty, learning how to deal with this stuff. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Anita Rose, how do you get rid of attachments if you're not in contract? So, I mean, you can, I would just use someone who knows how to do that. If you're not aware of how to do it, I mean, there are people who can teach you how to do that. This is why I used Marianne, because I'm not good at going in and doing entity removal, whether it's an implant or an attachment. That's just not something that I can do right now. I don't know if I ever will. But just use someone. And if there is a contract, that person should be able to let you know. And you can then, you can then break it. Okay, Leandra, suffered psychic attack for years, just can't seem to break free. What's the one step I can take immediately? Get yourself checked out for entity attachments. I've sent a few people to Marianne, and that I felt that there were entity attachments, and sometimes the attacks are so big and the attachments are so strong that you're going to need help removing them. So it's okay to ask for help. Just know that. Just know when it's okay to ask for help. However, at the end of the day, if there's a contract being made, you're going to have to be the one to break it. Like, for instance, I know Marianne can help you with that and be there with you as you do it to guide you. But part of that has to come from you. You have to be in engagement to that. But I would definitely, if any of you are feeling like you're under attack, okay, whether it's psychic, you just have all these really bad thoughts, or maybe your dreams are just really morbid, or just really kind of, for me, it's the sexual stuff. As soon as like there's weird sexual stuff happening in my dreams, that's like an instant flag for me. And I know. So just be aware of that. Hi, Venomous. I'm glad you made it to alive. Okay. So, yeah, this is my video. Okay. Oh, wow. We're already over 40 minutes long. Wow. Okay. I'm going to go. Guys, I hope that this video has been helpful to you. If you need to work with someone, again, Marianne's email is in the description below. If you're wanting to expand on your own gifts, your own light, and start using those gifts for service to humanity, but you're not sure how to do it, you can join my alchemy program. That's a lot of us are working on that in that group. And some of the people in that group have created their own intuitive activation group that they meet up every Thursday. So you can also join that. And guys, this portal, we're in the eclipse portal right now. It's pretty potent energy. Okay, for those of you who haven't, please join my Telegram channel and my Instagram. Those two is where I'm starting to drop either inspirational quotes, but also mini videos that I won't post here on just like a little advice, tidbits and things like that on just things that kind of come up along the spiritual journey to kind of help you guys out. And where was I gonna? Oh yeah, in my Telegram channel last week, I announced that I came into contact with a new ET being, and I've received more information on that. So I'm gonna probably do a video on that later next week because I am traveling next week. So stick around for this Tuesday, my podcast. I am having Jen Berkowitz on. She is in my alchemy program, and she has inspired so many of us to stand in our truth, to understand what little steps need to be taken to exercise that right to your own freedoms in this current 3D reality. And it's just been amazing to watch her blossom. And so I'm having her on the show because what she's done, I think, will be very helpful to a lot of you to understand the little steps you can take, whether it's in your own personal community, your local community, and abroad, to not be in contract, okay, with the corporations that are trying to rule over us. All right. So it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to have her on. I hope many of you come in to support her because she's just like one of you. And it's just a great opportunity for all of us to be inspired and to understand that it doesn't take a lot to start getting into the power and the truth of who we are in our day-to-day living. All right. Okay, guys, I love you lots, and I'll be back with you on Tuesday for the podcast.